This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hi there, I'm Tammy Schneider, and welcome to Chamber Town on Rogers TV. I'm with the Kincardine Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here in Kincardine with Erin Nickel. Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Thanks for joining us today. Now, Erin is the owner of Lake Huron Audiology, got that right, and she is also the 2023 recipient of the Bruce Telecom Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award. So congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really honored to get the award this year.
It was a really fun night. So I should ask you, with an award like that, what does it mean to you to be recognized like that in the community?
It definitely means a lot for me to get that recognition and appreciation from the community, and it means that I must be doing something pretty good in the community to get that award, so I'm pretty happy to have received it. It means a lot to me that my patients are being taken care of and that they feel that I'm providing a service that others maybe can't provide.
That's amazing. So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about where you're from, so what your background is, and how you found yourself in Kincardine.
Yeah, so I'm from Bracebridge, Ontario, so Muskoka area. And growing up, I had a mother who's an audiologist, and my father, was actually deaf. Mm-hmm. So I very much grew up in this world of the audiology world, I like to call it, from a young age, and I kind of learned the importance of communication and addressing concerns regarding hearing and communication aids. Mm-hmm. So as I got older, I sort of realized, oh yeah, this is a job that I'm sort of meant to do, and that I have a passionate side of it as well too. So I moved to Kincardine about 5 years ago. My partner, he's from the area, so we decided to settle down here, and then I decided, I may as well bring a practice here, since I know there was a little bit of services that weren't provided here at the time. Yeah, so I've been really enjoying being in Kincardine for the last little while.
And you've been in this location since you first opened your shop, is that right?
Yeah.
And sorry, the street address is?
910A Queen Street, right on the main street in Kincardine.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So can you talk a little bit about some of the services you provide? I think probably most people don't come in for a hearing test unless they really think they need one, unless something quite catastrophic happens. So why don't you talk a little bit about the services you provide, and then we can talk about who should come in.
Yeah, so I see all ages, so from 6 months of when they're born up until however old. So what I do are, so if children are having a lot of ear infections and things like that, I can test their hearing and see how everything's going, and then we can make that referral to an ear, nose, and throat specialist for further treatment. Mm-hmm. And then I also see all other ages, so there can be a lot of different causes of hearing loss. It's not just from like traumatic hearing experiences. It can be from noise-induced hearing problems, from like working in factories, working in loud noises. And then there also can be hearing issues that are related to hereditary or congenital problems as well too. So we kind of test for all those and then see if we need to do further testing. And if they do have a hearing loss, then I can fit them with a hearing aid or other hearing device as well. Mm-hmm. I also do provide auditory processing evaluations, so those are for children usually. And that's apart from the hearing test, so it tests how their brain is able to take the sound information and then make sense of that sound information. And then just recently, I actually just added vestibular testing to my test battery. So we can measure if you have a lot of dizziness issues or balance issues. We just got in goggles where I can measure your eye movements and then test your vestibular system to see if it's working properly.
That's pretty impressive. So it's, what I'm getting from that too is that it's not something that we should just encourage our seniors to come in and do. It can be sort of the root of a problem of other things that can happen in all ages. Is
For sure,
that right?
yeah. And we do recommend people have come in for even just a baseline, even if they're not having any issues. Sort of just like when you go to the eye doctor regularly, you're just checking to make sure everything's good. And then let's say later on, 5-10 years down the road, something happens, then we can look back on the previous test and we can see if there's been any changes. Especially if you are working in a noisy environment, they do like to have that baseline hearing test so that if an event happens at work, then we can prove that it was due to that event at work.
I see. So you've got something interesting here in front of us, and I won't touch it because I don't want to break it. But can you give us a little explanation?
Yeah,
of
so
what
this is the diagram of the ear there. I'll just go over it quickly if we have time. So this is the ear canal here, and then we have the eardrum. And then in the eardrum, it vibrates, and it vibrates the little bones in the ear. And the 3 little bones in the ear are actually the tiniest bones in the whole body. And those little bones vibrate, and then they send that information off to the inner ear. The inner ear is kind of this snail-like figure, and it has little tiny hairs in the cochlea there, which then vibrate in fluid, and when that sound vibration comes through, it then sends that information off to the brain. So yeah, it's a pretty fascinating kind of organ system. And then this part up here is the vestibular system. And it has a different canals that tells you and talks to your eyes about where you are in different positions. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, I just, from what I've heard from other parents, I know a lot of parents are concerned about things like the kids need tubes.
Yep.
Now, what is something like that? What is happening
so what happens there is, in the middle ear we have what's called the eustachian tube, and it's right in here. What can happen in some kids is when we're children, the eustachian tube starts off a little bit more horizontal, and then over time it drops down. But in that beginning part, if people get or children get a lot of colds, they'll have fluid that builds up in that middle ear space, and then the eardrum can't move as well as it should. So what they do is they put a little tiny tube into the eardrum that helps clear that congestion or fluid out of the middle ear space so that the eardrum can move and work as it should.
And I'm sure that physically that probably feels better to have that pressure released.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're on a plane and you feel like your ears need to clear. That's what children are often feeling. So they just put that little whole tube in your ear, and then it helps equalize that pressure and fluid.
That's amazing. Do you know offhand how often does that happen in children, or is that common?
It's pretty common. I don't necessarily have a stat on it, but I do know that there is a long wait list to be seen for ear, nose, and throat specialists to do it, so I'm assuming it's pretty common.
I also wanted to mention this equipment that we have behind me here, and this, I guess it's a silent room behind me.
Yeah, a sound booth behind you.
Soundproof booth?
Yeah.
What do you do with this machine?
So this is my audiometer, so this is what I use for a hearing test, so it plays tones at different frequencies, and then we go quieter and quieter to see where the lowest the person can detect, and that's what we predominantly use for the hearing test. And then it has some other functions too, where I can kind of play sounds and noise, and the person has to say back the different words and noise, and it's for a hearing and noise test. So yeah, lots of fun things to do.
Now, I can see adults or even children being able to use something like this, but how would you test the hearing for a baby? You said you've treated
Yep, so we still use this device, but in the booth we have there are 2 speakers on the side, and then we have what are called visual reinforcement boxes. And they basically are boxes with a little toy that lights up. So when the 6-month-old baby, we play a sound, and then they turn their head to the sound, and we reinforce that sound with the light up box, so that it encourages them to look every time the sound is played. And then we keep doing that sound lower and lower until they don't respond anymore.
They don't respond to it anymore. That's really interesting, because it's hard to, I imagine, test somebody that can't.
Yeah, so we also have another device that I put in their ear, and it can measure their hearing without their response as well too. So we have a few of those tests that are objective testing measures, so we don't have to rely on the little baby's response too, which is nice.
So if people wanted to come in and, as you suggest, just have a simple test and establish a baseline, do they need a referral from their doctor, or can they call you direct and book an appointment? What's the best way?
That's a good question. They don't need a referral. They can just call directly or book online, and we can set that up for them. Yeah, there's no need for a doctor's referral at this time. Yeah.
And then when it comes to any kind of device that they might need afterwards, some hearing aids or whatever sort of equipment apparatus they need, you can take them through that process as well too?
Yep, so because I'm an audiologist, I can also prescribe hearing aids. So I can take them through that whole process, and we can kind of find something that works within their needs.
And do you find that people are interested in coming in and having this done? Like, are they, they're very aware of what the challenges can be? I would think sometimes people might not even know they have hearing loss.
Yeah, so they say the stat is that it takes a person on average 7 years after suspecting that they have a hearing loss to actually come forward and have a hearing test and kind of seek the proper treatment. And usually it's with a nudge from a significant other. So it definitely can take a little while, but I think there's been a lot more awareness and education around hearing that that time is actually kind of coming down, they've seen.
Do you spend much time going into schools or anything like that?
So I have done kind of ready for kindergarten programs where I go into the schools and we just do kind of a quick screening just to make sure the kids' hearing is ready for that. And then I also do go into some seniors' homes and test for their hearing as well too.
It must be very eye-opening for people to realize that perhaps they have a hearing loss. And it doesn't have to be both ears, right? It could just be one in particular, like eyes, one weaker than the other.
Yeah, sometimes people go through sort of like the 7 stages of grief when they find out that they had a hearing loss. They sort of have to go through that whole acceptance period, and they are grieving the loss of their hearing too. So sometimes it can be an emotional experience as well.
So my takeaway from this is that if someone thinks they have a hearing loss,
they can come see me and they don't need to get a referral, and then we can kind of see if it's wax buildup. I can also remove the wax for them, and then we can test their hearing and see how everything's going.
And what's the best way to get in touch with you, Erin?
They can call me at 519-396-5777, or you can book online at lakehuronaudiology.com.
Thanks so much for joining us today and sharing the information about your career and about hearing and some of the processes that people will go through. It seems very painless. It just takes a little bit of time, and I think the payout will be to everyone's benefit.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And we'll be right back.
On Rogers TV.
Tune in next week on Grey County Life. We'll be chatting with Marcia Cunningham from the Roxy Theatre, along with some of the cast from the Ladies Foursome.
We'll also talk to Janet Juniper about the upcoming Bayshore Bridal Show. Hope you'll join us.
Hi, I'm Tammy Schneider, and I'm with the Kincardine District Chamber of Commerce, and I am here at the Kincardine Hospital in the CT suite, I guess we would call it. And how about this piece of technology behind me? This is the fabulous CT that has been purchased by the Kincardine Hospital to serve the local residents. And here to tell us a little bit more about the hospital and the foundation campaign, the capital campaign, is Mark Womack.
Thank you. Yeah, we were in the CT suite, which is really exciting. It opened up in March of this year, March 20th. And just to kind of give you an impact, of how busy we are, this machine, which is called the Excite, has done between March and July, we've done about 1,300 scans of local people.
That is unbelievable that a piece of equipment was that necessary in this area, and look how it's being utilized now. That's outstanding to see money spent for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. This machine was about $3 million, which was funded through the foundation and through our community, and it's part of the new redevelopment of the Kincardine Hospital, which the foundation is supporting through our Building Healthcare for Generations campaign. And the next big exciting piece of equipment that will hopefully be coming is the MRI, which is going to be part of the medical imaging suite. But because of it, we've had to add about $6 million to our overall campaign. Which,
before we get going on that, I was going to say, let's roll back a little bit and tell us about some of the improvements that we have coming here. Like, what do you have planned? And what's your role in this, Mark?
Yeah, I'm what's called the Capital Campaign Manager. And my job is really, I'm a cheerleader. For lack of a better term, I have a fantastic board of directors, capital campaign committee, and about 25 right now healthcare ambassadors who are going out into the community and just talking about the redevelopment, getting people excited, starting to generate some donations towards the campaign. But it's really, they're the core of what we're going to use to raise the money to fund this redevelopment. And the redevelopment is exciting. It should be exciting for everybody in Kincardine, Huron, Kinloss, and most of Bruce County, because we're looking at about an $80 million redevelopment of the hospital, which is going to blow our lab spaces up by 133%. It's going to increase the emergency department by 300%, and it's going to increase medical imaging by 300%. So we're going to see fantastic growth and local health care staying local. You're not going to have to go to London or to Kitchener or Guelph for an MRI. You're going to be able to come locally, and it's not going to be at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we're excited.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think this community is certainly in great need of these kinds of services. I mean, we have the population, and we have it's such an attraction for people moving in, for businesses, certainly for medical professionals coming to an area.
It's such an important thing for people to remember that healthcare is important to everyone. It's not something we can skimp on. It's not something we can say, oh, I'll put it off till 10 years from now. When people need their healthcare, they need it now. They need to be able to access an emergency where you're not sitting for 24 or 30 hours to get cared for. You need to be able to come locally. Businesses need to be able to say to folks, you can get health care close to your home without having to travel hours away if you come and work in this area. And we all know, I mean, Bruce Power is a huge player in our neighborhood and a great partner to the hospital and our communities. And we're the designated space for anything that happens at Bruce Power. So we've got to make sure that we're prepared in case.
I think it's important to remember too, when we have this state-of-the-art equipment here, it takes the weight off other centers that have it.
Absolutely, yeah. The closest CT scanner is down in Walkerton for us. So people aren't having to travel locally. The other thing that's really important is by having the technology here, physicians want to base themselves here. And we're seeing that more and more that, physicians are under incredible amount of stress and requirements. And they're really looking for a place to practice that they can bring their families, that they can have a healthy work-life balance, and that they can feel like they're really making a difference in the community that they're living in.
So let's get back to talking about the money.
Yeah.
Because that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line, right. So the Kincardine Community Healthcare Foundation, which I'm a part of and the campaign is a part of, has committed to raising $18 million locally as our share to fund our portion of the $80 million campaign, or the $79 million redevelopment. It's a big chunk, no question about it. It's daunting. But we have a fantastic group of healthcare professionals, local business people, and community volunteers that are really actively out there talking it up. We're waiting for a couple big announcements. I can't say them yet, but we have some local families and some local businesses that we're just about to finish the agreements that are gonna just make such a huge contribution to the overall numbers. And it's exciting. It's really, like I say, I'm a cheerleader. My role behind the scenes is to make sure that our community members, our ambassadors, and our board have the tools necessary to go out and really talk about this in the community and tell people what they're going to see develop here in Kincardine.
And once that ball gets rolling, don't you just feel that momentum?
It's exciting.
People get more excited.
Yeah.
More excited?
Yeah.
Now, what kind of a time frame are you looking at for this? Because Rome wasn't built in a day,
No.
and I don't think this thing was either. So.
No. These developments, people say, when are we going to see shovels in the ground? And there's still a lot of government work. We're working with the provincial government. Our colleagues in Walkerton are really helping us out. So we're hoping to put shovels in the ground in the fall of 2026. And as you said, we're projecting it's probably going to take about 3 years. There's a lot of movement. You have to shift offices. You have to shift services. So we've got to build a whole new part of the hospital. And that's going to take, we figure, about 3 years. So realistically, opening the entire center in 2029, 2030 is going to be realistic. That's when people will see the whole picture.
Now, you mentioned the MRI.
Yes.
And that is so exciting
Yes.
to me, and I think to the people in this community, to see that as a possibility now, and that is going to become a reality. Any idea of a time frame on that, and what kind of money they're looking at to install that?
Well, as I said, we added $6 million to the campaign because although we built the CT suite and helped the CT suite, there's a whole nother portion that has to be built to accommodate an MRI machine. An MRI machine is very different than a CT scanner. So we have to make sure that the proper spaces are built. And believe it or not, we have to think about accessibility because these machines have a lifespan.
Right.
And there's no use building a whole facility around them and then not being able to replace them. So we have to think, we don't have to think 5 years out or 10 years out, we have to think 20 years out and where a new MRI will fit into the hospital structure.
Absolutely. Now, you said you had a foundation board.
Right.
And a capital campaign committee.
Yes.
And you've got a group of ambassadors.
Yep.
Now, for the average person out there like me, what do we do to help? How do we get involved with this? If somebody's sitting at home watching this on television on Rogers TV.
On Rogers.
What do they do? Do they pick up the phone and say, I want canvas, or do they stuff envelopes? Or
there are so many ways that people can help. I mean, the most obvious one is to donate to the campaign. And we have availability. You can make a pledge. You can go online and make a recurring monthly gift to the foundation. You can leave a gift to us in your will. Life insurance policies, gifts of stocks we take. So there's a whole bunch of different avenues that people can take that are tax deductible. So it helps their bottom line as well. But the fact is we need boots on the ground. We need people who want to come out and say, I'm in favor of the healthcare. I want to make a difference. I know people and I'm willing to introduce the foundation to people who will think about giving, who will think about contributing to the hospital, and it doesn't have to be locally. I mean, we're talking to companies in Calgary, we're talking to companies in Toronto that all have their fingers in the Bruce area. And we're not letting them off the hook. They're part of the community even though they're at a distance. So we want them to make sure that they're contributing for their employees.
That's excellent, excellent.
But sorry, to answer your question, anybody who wants to participate can call me here at the hospital. My extension is 4335, and I would love to talk with them, and we'll find a role. It could be stuffing envelopes. It could be, we're having a reception to engage our staff, and we want cookies baked. So there's a multitude of roles you can help out in.
I think there's been some third-party events as well too. Have there not? Like Rock Your Docs, I think, is a big one, and just recently, didn't they also play at the Legion?
Yeah, they played at the Legion this past weekend, raised about $7,000, which is fantastic. We're already planning Rock With Your Docs for 2024. It's on a Friday this year. I'm going to say June, third Friday in June. Lots of excitement around that. And, you know, Rock With Your Docs is a big thing. We're talking with different partners about doing community events as well. So even, you know, kids want to run a lemonade stand. Every dollar towards healthcare stays in the community. We're not sending it to Toronto and saying, you know, here's an office, here's more money for you. Every dollar we raise stays right in Kincardine here.
It really is an investment in yourself and the community.
And your family, yeah.
You know, I was thinking too, while we were chatting about this, is that we should probably differentiate for the audience the difference between the foundation and the capital campaign. Both have similar goals, but
well, yeah, the capital campaign is actually an arm of the foundation, is part of the foundation. And our role really is to help educate. And, you know, most people think, well, I pay my taxes, so the taxes will cover everything, you know, hospital needed, or the hospital needs. And that's not, unfortunately, the truth. Taxes pay for the building, the walls, but the machines and equipment in the hospital has to be raised locally. So the foundation is the fundraising arm of the hospital corporation, and then the capital campaign is a subdivision or a committee of the foundation. We're all raising for the same hospital.
Right.
We're raising the money. You know, we're still committed to buying other equipment that's needed in the years leading up to the redevelopment. And we have great partners. The Ladies Auxiliary here in the hospital raises hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, our staff is a wonderful resource. You know, we have incredible staff here at the hospital, right from maintenance and food services to our nurses and doctors. So everybody's a partner in this.
well, everybody benefits, right?
Absolutely.
So I think we're getting ready to wrap up, but I certainly wanted to thank you for bringing us in to get a bird's eye view of this machine.
It's so cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's so high tech and so space age, and letting us know a little bit about what the capital campaign has planned. If you want to give that number again, where people can reach out to you, and this might be individuals, it also might be businesses that might want to contribute in some way and are looking for some ideas.
Absolutely. You can reach out to me through our website, kincardinefoundation.ca, under the capital campaign, or I can be reached at 396-3331, extension 4335.
Excellent. Mark, thanks so much for having us in
It's
today.
a pleasure.
We really appreciate it. Good luck with your campaign. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more in the months and years to come.
It's going to be exciting. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com. With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
This is a man's heart, a heart in desperate need of medical attention. But because 78% of Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, he may not get the help he needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
You're watching Rogers TV.